Hello and welcome to the Schola Progenium. Just a quick video for you today because I wanted to get things kicked off with a new series I'll be doing alongside the start of 9th edition. Now, as I've said to you guys recently, I'm going to be doing more Xenos and not just Blood Angels, all my different armies. I'll be doing videos on all of them, so to speak. And one of the series I'll be doing in this new content is the Tau Empire Expansion 4.5, or the Great Tau Restoration Project. Now, you may have seen on my brother Mordian Glory's channel that for the past sort of year, 18 months, he's been doing his Great Mordian Restoration Project. And so the same kind of thing is required for the Tau here, which is that the Tau have served a great purpose for me. I've had them since the day they were released, Games Day 2001, and I actually still have not got round to painting this guy. That was the special edition sort of Games Day exclusive model that came out. And I also have this huge bag. Sorry, the Tau have not been really in my carry cases because I've not been using them recently. Huge bag of Kroot, and I think there's about 50 Kroot there that I got entirely for free, because back in the day in Games Day when it was in Birmingham, they used to give out a sprue of like the latest sort of cool thing or whatever that they were releasing that year at the time for free at Games Day. And I decided, I saved up all my pennies, and my birthday's in October, and Games Day was in October, so I was going for my birthday. My dad took me down with one of my mates and my brother, and we had a great time, and I'd saved up for ages, and just like they do now, Games Workshop had been teasing Tau in White Dwarf and all that kind of thing, and they were out, and I spent loads of money, all my savings, on a Tau Force. Most of the models you see before you now. And one of the cool things was they were giving Kroot away, and I sort of, as this sort of like 12-year-old kid, or I don't remember how old I was at the time, what birthday it was, I went round all these like blokes who had their little free gift bags for Games Workshop and said, oh, excuse me, are you going to be using those Kroot? And some people were like, yeah, and some people were like, no, not really, they'll just go on the pile. And they just gave them to me, and I managed to accumulate from sprues of 4 Kroot. I think it was like 48 Kroot in total. I just went around and absolutely, with my little young face, but it wouldn't melt in my mouth, pulled off the absolute steal of the century and got an insane amount, like 3 boxes plus 4 boxes of Kroot. I don't even know how many they did in a box at the time. Absolutely for free, through the kindness of strangers. The Piranhas weren't out at that point, the Ghost Keel wasn't out at that point, the Riptide, sorry about the state of him, wasn't out at that point. But yeah, got a lot of models, and I've used the Tau for ages, and they're a really comfy pair of pants. They've always been my other army to Blood Angels, my main army, and since I've done my Blood Angels, I've done Knights and Chaos Knights and Dark Elder and Deathwatch, and with each army I've got better and better at painting. And with each army that I've done, and obviously I've had my Blood Angels all alongside my Tau, but I've kind of kept them updated in the main, because I just like my Blood Angels. But I've always loved using my Tau, and they are, I do like playing with them a lot. And this force has actually just basically carried itself since the day Tau were released, with very few additions. I've got a couple of Piranhas in there because I love, when they came out and I saw that they could have Seeker missiles, I was like, sweet, let's have some of those, and I've spammed Seeker missiles with these guys. Ghost Kill, my brother got me for a Christmas present one year. But yeah, the majority of this is just survived all the way through from, I think, 2001, 19 years of play, and Hammerheads have stood me proud. And I kind of almost I have to say, the reason why my Riptide's in such a terrible state is basically because I never use them. It's just been sat in a box under my bed for ages, because I don't know, I played Tau all the way through when they were new, and then when they were great, and then when they were bad, and then when they were good, and then when they were just Riptide spam. And I almost didn't like using the Riptide because I felt like it gave Tau players a bad name. So I would basically basically try and avoid using it in my lists whenever possible. But as you can see, as I'm going around, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Now, I'll just take you through what I've got on the list. So, essentially, I've got 4 Hammerheads, as you can see. Now, some of these Hammerheads are magnetised. This one's a relatively new one because I want to use long strike and 3 hammerheads, and have been doing for quite some time, getting away with not painting it because that's terrible. And I don't agree with running non-painted armies, but I've just got away with murder with my mates because like these towers are so crap. They look so bad as it is with my sort of 11-year-old, 12-year-old paint scheme that having a few unpainted or spray painted models really didn't make much of a difference. Yeah, so I've got, you know, I've magnetised, you know, and I've done all that this weekend. I've also come up with these little snazzy extra railgun turrets. So essentially, because I've got these broadsides, now these broadsides, the original broadside models back in the day, now I loved broadsides, and I still rue the fact that they made the broadside rifle not as powerful as the tank version in the second codex. But they used to come with these sort of shoulder mounted broadside cannons, and they looked good, but the problem was the weight was so great on the ankle joints, and the feet were made of metal to weigh the model down, I presume. I'm not a model designer, but the body was, you know, essentially made of plastic, the same as a Crisis, with just like these little extra metal bits on the back. And the railguns are actually, you know, they're made of pewter, and they're actually very weighty. And so the broadsides, you know, I've had to re-glue, this guy's actually on his ankles, I have to re-glue these guys so many times that in the end I've just, you know, given up. I think I had 3 at one point, and then in house moves and this, that and the other, and over the years, you know, one of them's disappeared and the other 2 have lost their arms. But what I did was, because I needed more rail rifles for my hammerheads, I actually came up with this little modification where I took the sort of strap from a drop pod, and I think this is the internal bit from a drop pod that you stick that's the central pod to or something, I'm not sure exactly. And I've stuck those either side of a railgun to make a kind of double-barreled railgun for my hammerheads, and I'm kind of thinking that, and that just magnetises on there beautifully like that, and that can swap out for iron cannons, and I've got another iron cannon that's still on sprue, and I think another one knocking around somewhere as well. But yeah, what I'm going to do essentially is try and build up this army into a glorious army of veterans. Like the cannon, the head cannon for this force is going to match the life of this force. You know, they've maybe been downtrodden by their masters, maybe they're sort of sway on the side of, you know, they have an understanding for Farsight and his ways, but they would never say that, you know, apart from amongst maybe their own personal cadres, or, you know, own personal fire teams. I forget what they're called, but there's a fancy town name for it, like the groups of 3 and groups of 5 and all this. But they'll probably never utter outside of that, but because I am going to be a loyal Tau veteran, I'm not going over to Farsight. But yeah, I really like the idea of these guys, me fixing them up, but you know, you can see that they're a bit knackered, you can see that they've been through the wars, and I want to make them look, I want to lean into that, I think, and make them look really good, really gritty, and like they've been fighting since day one, these guys, you know, not necessarily obviously in the time scale of the Imperium, but a veteran force of Tau who've been on a long, gritty campaign. Because I think one of the things that kind of puts me off Tau in terms of style is that they can be a bit clean and a bit sleek, and I much prefer them. Even when as a kid I wanted them to have this dark, urban, like blue and black and grey camo, and you can see various iterations like as I've tried different techniques, because, you know, I didn't really know what I was doing, and that kind of thing. But yeah, overall 25 Fire Warriors. I've got 5 Pathfinders here that I've sort of put together from different parts of Fire Warriors and bits that I've had. I have Super Recruit, who I've always used, and he was a Fire Warrior Sergeant until the Fireblade rules came out, because that Fireblades weren't originally available to the Tau, they were just like a new character that came out at some point in their history, I can't remember. But he's always functioned as a Fireblade since then, and you know, I've no intention of changing that, because Super Recruit has earned his place in the army. He is a recruit who has worked his way up, proven himself, and you know, I'm sure I can jimmy the lore for Tau in some way to make that possible. A Super Recruit, or Super Recruit, with all the you know, accents that the Tau have. He's going to remain a Fireblade. Just to be cheap and cheerful, I've actually got like 2 or 3 of these guys who are the pilots for Hammerheads. which a lot of you guys won't know because obviously you're all spam Riptides. But I'm going to use these as firesight marksmen because, you know, I've no need for the sniper drones, and this guy's got a little thing and I can stick him on a base and make him into a firesight marksman. So I've got a few of those. As I said, I've got, I think it's like Ang Proc, or I can't remember exactly, maybe it'll say on it. I think it just says Crude Shaper on his, let's have a look, where is it? Crude Shaper, don't know if you can see that, and then GW 2001 on the back. I'm kind of tempted to not paint him, but he's out of box or out of blister, so I may as well. I've got these 3 Crew Hounds. They used to go with the Crew. I think they're an independent squad now. I haven't used them. I've never painted them. I think I've picked those up in games day and literally never painted them. I've got the arms somewhere, the spare legs. And that brings me on to my Crisis suits. Now, the Crisis suits, I've managed to patch them up a lot. This arms needs gluing on, but apart from that, I've patched up most of the arms and that, so they're all in one piece. But I found myself in a very unusual position. Like, I've gone through all my Tau collection, and I seem to have just lost all of the feet for my Tau over time. They're all without feet. I can't really get my head around where all their feet could have been. And you can't really see it because they're on these weird, like, coat hanger flying bases that I came up for them, so they had decent height on the flying bases. But I kind of want to get hold of feet. Now, I've been online and I even found a shop that was selling some, but it was actually a mistake, and they had 2 registered in their stock that they didn't have 2 sets of feet. And I've searched and scoured the internet and I can't seem to find anyone that's just doing Tau feet, which makes sense. Why would they be? You know, you can see people 3D printing, you know, weapons, but not Tau feet. It's just such an odd thing to go missing. But nonetheless, I have literally no Tau feet. It's not a unique problem. Actually seems to be an endemic issue for these veteran Tau. You know, over time, you know, they've had to just rely on their jetpacks, I figure, because they've ground their feet down marching on a long expansion crusade, post Damocles Gulf or who knows what. But yeah, I have actually been a bit cheeky in the sort of, whilst we're on the subject of ordering bits online, and I've ordered 16 cyclic iron blasters because they were 50p each if you bought 16 from a UK eBay store, and the guy had 100% recommendations. Can't remember his name, but I've never used a cyclic iron blaster in all the time that I've used Tau, because it was like newfangled technology and bar humbug. But what's kind of inspired this a little bit was I was at my mate's house the other day, and I've mentioned before, he's a relatively new player who's got back into 40k very recently in the past year or so, and he's built himself a massive 2k Space Marine army, and then he's got himself about 1200 points of Tau at this point, and he didn't really know how to use them, and he wanted to start playing with them and thinking of tactics and deciding on stratagems and deciding what next to buy. So I went round and used his army and what he had to sort of show him the ropes against his Space Marines that he currently had and is confident using. And I really enjoyed using the cyclic iron blaster commander that he had. I really enjoyed using his Tau, and and I realised something significant, which is because these Tau have been left behind, and because every one of my armies has just got better looking, and as I've become a better painter and I've produced like 6 armies, so obviously you're going to get better. And as I've done my Dark Elder, I really just don't like using my Tau, just simply because they just don't look up to par. They're just not an army I'm sort of on a subconscious level willing to run, because they just look a bit crappy, and I just don't like that for my battles. I like my battles to be resplendent with beautiful armies. And I'm not getting into the subject of points right now because that just winds me up too much, but that's not what this video is about. This is about the restoration project. But so it was really fun using his commander with triple cyclic iron blaster and that kind of thing. So I thought, I'll buy some more. I've got spare missile pods, and he's got a few spare missile pods, and I'm going to give him a few of the cyclic iron blasters, and then maybe he'll give me a couple of missile pods in return. Who knows? Or I'll just buy some more because this guy, I can get them like 50p a pop from this eBay retailer. So I'm going to kit out these guys because I really, really like Crisis suits. I just think they're just such an archetypical unit for the Tau. They just absolutely, you need to have those Crisis suits in your army because they just look so damn good. And as you can see, these guys, I need to settle on a paint scheme, so I'm kind of between going for this one, which is kind of dry brush black and grey and blue, which sort of I've dabbled in a bit over time, and it's kind of looks all right. Or going for a sort of more matte blue like this, which is what I've done on my Ghost Kill, which is obviously my most recently obtained model. My brother got me this for Christmas last year, and so that actually looks good because I've painted it, you know, well, knowing what I'm doing. And I've got these, I'm so proud to own these X15, I think the X15 stealth battle suits, because they're, you know, to have 12 classic metal ones, just they're as rare as hen's teeth these days, so I'm so fortunate to have those. Can't wait to get the other 6 repainted up. You can see how much they've been used, that the paint is actually chipped off. They're more chipped than they are painted at this point, because they've just been used for 19 years since I painted them. And they didn't come out on game day, they were released a couple of months later, and I was just so excited to get them, and as soon as they came out I just bought a ton, and you know, I've used them in every game ever since. I've sworn by them through Riptide Spam and everything. I just love my stealth suits, and I love these models, and I'll be continuing to use them. And obviously I'm going to get everything based, because they're all just black, because back in the day it was either, you know, goblin green bases or black bases, and I just very much fall into the camp of, or did fall into the camp of having black bases, because they don't stand out on different battle boards, whether it's snow or green or whatever. Your brain just filters black out. But you know, we've got a base these days, and it rankles me that Games Workshop feels they can make that design choice for me as an old school player. But you know, basing does look better, it has to be admitted. So, and I have been in the process of rebasing all my armies and my Blood Angels and everything over lockdown, so you know, I concede that I will base all my stuff. Now, to sort of spur this project on, not only have I bought, you know, a load of cyclic iron blasters so I can kit these guys out and magnetize them up, and get them loaded out so I've got a sick unit or 2 units of crisis suits, but I've also gone and treated myself. Now, I love running long strike with 3 hammerheads, and I've done that since long strike could sort of make that good. The most recent 2 codexes, I think. And you know, that's been absolutely great. It's been really, you know, I really love that. And I was sort of been in a bit of 2 minds, because my mates, he has Shadow Sun, who's obviously Tau exclusive, and I was really not a massive fan of Commander Shadow Thick, or Commander Thick Sun, as some people call her, when I saw pictures of her online. But I was a massive fan when I used her in game. So I went to Games Workshop today because they've reopened, and you know, I do like to buy online and save a little bit of money from independent retailers. But I got myself Commander Shadow Sun. I really can't wait. I've got this video done, and then I'm going to basically, as soon as I've finished filming this and editing and getting it up, I'm going to get her built straight away. And I also bought myself a Tau Commander, because essentially I've been really mirroring on people, really sort of envious of all other Tau. I love the Tau Commander model. I love the fact that he stands head and shoulders above a normal crisis suit. But forever I've just run crisis suits because that's what I've had, and I've never bothered to upgrade for years. That Tau Commander, I don't know how long it's been out, but I don't know if it says on the box. Not that I can see, but you know, I should have picked one of these bad boys up a long time ago, 2017. Oh, so it's not that long. I should have picked one of these guys up when he came out, because they're sick, but you know, I just haven't been focused on my Tau. So I bought myself 2 commands there, 2 HQ choices. Now I'm going to be running these Tau as essentially, you know, I'm going to be trying a couple of formats out. Now I'm either going to be going Tau, I'm going to have Shadow Sun in there, and she's going to be doing 2 Cayunes a turn, 2 Cayunes a game, and I'm just going to be buffing these hammerheads to just absolutely rinse into people with reroll hits and stuff like that. And you know, because she's Tau, she can do that twice, because they're Tau. You know, it's basically spamming Tau named characters of Long Strike and Shadow Sun working together to just really get these hammerheads on overcharge. But one of the things that I've done really sort of since I've only played like maybe 3 games with my Tau since the Greater Good came out, because you know, I only really use them in friendly games. I'm reluctant to use them on camera because they look like crap, let's face it. But one of the things I've been doing is I've been using hardened warheads for an additional AP -1 on all missiles. And I think that would go really nicely if I maybe trimmed down the amount of hammerheads. I could even go, you know, for infantry spam, plus, you know, loads of devilfish, all with this SMS on AP-1, because I'm going to magnetize these guys up, not actually spam cyclic iron blasters, but go for loads of missile pods on the arms, and just, you know, spam out missiles and that kind of thing. Or, you know, one of the things I really like using is DACA burst cannons with a 2 ATS plus overcharged ammo for AP-2 on the burst cannons, and spamming those. So I've got a lot of ideas for what I'm going to be using. It's either going to be, you know, heavy Tau or custom sept, I reckon. But I've got a lot of work to do, as you can see. So the final thing would be, you know, if you've got any ideas, any comments, any tips, anything like that, please do leave them in the link below as I start this exciting renovation project, because I really appreciate all your help. And if you know someone who can get me feet for crisis suits reprinted, or, you know, if you have a solution to my unusual problem, then please do get in touch, because I'd love to hear from you. I do not know what I'm going to do about these crisis suit feet. So anyway, I hope you found that interesting. I hope, you know, you can advise me in some way. I hope you find this exciting. You know, let me know what you'll be doing at the start of 9th. What little projects you're working on at the moment and all that kind of thing, because I love the community that we've got in the comment section, and I love to hear from you guys every time. So without much further ado, thank you very much for your time. This has been the Schola Progenium. Goodbye.